And we're opening up the service today with some beautiful music by our music director, Morgan Fader. Welcome, Morgan. That was exquisite. Thank you. And that was Leaves Have Fallen, improvision number 1. Did you write that? Oh my gosh. Doesn't that make that special? Wow. That's awesome. All right, well, welcome to everyone. I'm Reverend Dr. Mary Mitchell. I'm a staff minister here and supporting Reverend Sue MillerBorn, our senior minister. And Charlie and I are in service as practitioners. And Shirley, are you up for doing treatments after service for someone? So Shirley Wade also. So the three of us are available to you. Is there anyone here new for the first time today? Anybody? No, you're elbowing somebody. Is she new? Well, if you're new and would like a welcome packet, they're the blue folders on the back wall, and we hope that you take one. It's got a lot of really, really great information in it. So right now, we'd like to turn and wave to all those out there in the internet and the social media around the world watching us here this morning. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. We're glad you're with us. And if the children can make their way up, we will sing The Face of God with Judy. Come on, sweethearts. All right. Come on up. gosh, I felt like that this morning. Oh my God. I have to tell you something. I was listening to KKRN, our community radio station, and several of us have programs on that station. I was listening to Dion Paulette, and he loves to play 50s music, and he plays the Purple People Eater. Do you remember that? Oh, I was wanting to dance in my car. Oh my God, it was so cute. And then he played a song, I don't know who did it, and she's saying, "If I had a thread and a needle, I'd sew myself to you. And if I had a dog in the chair, I'd still pet you." I don't know where he gets these songs, but it's really great Sunday morning if you listen to KKRN. Okay, enough of that. If you have in here in the sanctuary, if you have a cell phone or something that would beep or go off, if you turn it off, we'd greatly appreciate it. And you at home, you can answer all the calls you want. All right, focus announcements. Obviously, we have a book sale, and this is the last day, and it ends at 11:30. So if you've been eyeing a few books there, please jump up after service and go get them. We really appreciate all the books that have been sold. It means a lot to our fundraising during the year. I don't know if you know Sherry-Ann Wyndham. Sherry-Ann, are you here? She is our professional watercolor instructor. She is amazing. I took classes with her for 2 years, and she is offering 2 new classes. The first one, let's see, October 27th through November 17th, 1 to 3:30. That's a Wednesday, the social hall. Maximum 6 students, and it's going to be exploring the positive and negative spaces in composition. That sounds fascinating. I don't know how you do that. And then on Mondays, November 1st through November 22nd, 9:30 to noon in the social hall, maximum 6 students. You're going to learn to use the tools of the trade. So that sounds like might be a little bit more beginner class. But Sherry-Ann has incredible skills and talents in helping you create these most amazing watercolor pictures. So if that's been an interest, that's something to take advantage of. And you'll see our board member, Christy, she's back at the board desk. You can sign up with her. October 30th, Saturday, is another SOAR adventure, and they're going to Chico. Great little community to go to. And they'll be enjoying the fall foliage at Bidwell Park and visit the Museum of Northern California Art. And then they're going to have a beer at the Sierra Nevada Brewery. You don't have to, but it's a really delightful place to go, obviously. I've been there before. Great food. All right. The reading, we're going to have a reading. Craig, you're going to do that. And then Charlie will invite the bell. I'll do a spiritual mind treatment, which is our form of affirmative prayer. And then we will have a Sunday lesson by Reverend Sue, When the Road Gets Rocky. Anybody relate? Okay. Craig?
It's Craig and Sue this morning.
Yeah. Yeah. See if I can follow my script. Hey, God.
Hey, Sue.
Oh, God, our world is so ugly.
Ugly? No way. Not even close.
So when's the last time you watched the news?
I've never needed to watch the news.
Oh, that means you don't know what's going on right now.
Oh, I know exactly what's going on.
Well, then prove it.
Right now, there is a homeless woman being cared for by a volunteer named Allison in a shelter. They're sharing a couple of bowls of turkey soup together under a flickering fluorescent light. And in a couple of minutes, they're going to be surprised once they discover they're both widows. Now, for the next hour, they're going to talk and tell stories about their deceased beloveds. They're going to laugh. They're going to cry. Right now in the shelter, these 2 lovely women are connecting with and serving one another profoundly. That's what's happening in the world. It's not ugly. It's actually beautiful.
Well, I can hear what you're saying, but you didn't see the breaking news just a little bit ago that absolutely demonstrates in the world how scary things are.
Yes, but I also saw a baby giggling for the first time this morning in an apartment in India. His face exploded with joy and gladness because of the silly sounds his older sister was making. I love watching little babies laugh, especially when they've never done it before. It was pure, it was simple, and in just a couple of moments, the entire family gathered around and all took turns making noises to keep him laughing. It was beautiful. When was the last time you made a baby laugh? When was the last time you exposed yourself to that kind of radiant happiness?
No, I can't remember, but that's not my point. How can you not see what's going on out there in our world?
You know what I can see right now? I see life. I see miracles. I see a bright red hummingbird flirt with a pastel yellow sunflower. I see an excited teenage girl fill out her application to go to college so she can follow her dream to become a doctor. I see an elderly couple holding hands on a park bench. I can see a 200-year-old tree being climbed by a couple of children. I can see a vast ocean meet the endless shore and listen to the tide splash against the rocks. I can see the moon and the sun and the endless network of galaxies that your blue spinning planet is a part of. I can see all the atoms that make up who you are. All of it is a miracle. Miracles are all I see. I see life. I see courage. I see people helping each other. I see creation. I see love. I see beauty. Remarkable beauty.
Well, okay, what about all the horrible things? Are you just ignoring them?
No, I see those too. I'm just as fully present in those dark moments. But you have started to believe that that's all there is. But there's so much beauty that you are overlooking.
I know.
There is more light and goodness in your world than there is shadow and violence. Quit fixing your gaze on darkness. There is nothing that will feed you there. Put your eyes upon the miracles that surround you. If you baptize yourself in the toxicity of fear, you will unknowingly become an evangelist for fear.
Ooh, I guess I have been kind of a prophet of doom lately, kind of a Debbie Downer.
Well, the world is so incredibly beautiful, and I have placed constant reminders of that fact all around you. I want you to spend the rest of your day listening for and looking for beauty. Turn off the news for a little while. Start being witness to all the wonder that is happening right now before your own eyes. And I want you to report back later what you find.
Ooh, that sounds like homework.
I call it soul work. And I'm going to close this with a Navajo prayer. In beauty I walk. With beauty I walk. With beauty behind me I walk. With beauty above me I walk. With beauty all around me I walk. It has become beauty again. It has become beauty again. Beauty again. It has become beauty again.
And as we see beauty again and again and again, we recognize and realize deep within our heart that we're all one. There's only one thing going on here, and that's the full expression of the infinite intelligence that created it all. Each of us individuals, each of us unique, and yet at a cellular level and a spiritual level, we're so alike, we're so identical, made from the grace of God. I know for each one of us here today, as we look for the good around us, drive through town and start to see fall colors, as we see people walking along in a park, or just see the birds as they start to gather to go south for the winter and pass through our beautiful area. All of these things remind us of the cycle of change and the cycle of perfection. Every spring, every summer, every fall, every winter, we have things to be grateful for. Newness, expansion, recognizing the glory of God that's everywhere present, and forgetting when we did forget. It's all available to us, and we accept that today. I accept that for each person here and each person watching. Explore nature today. Explore your community. Find the beauty. God's grace everywhere. So I release these words knowing they're going to fill your heart this afternoon with all the goodness that you see. Thank you, Spirit, for the amazing creation that we get to be part of and also observe. And so it is. Reverend Sue.
Thank you. So I'm going to reassure Lindy back there that the title actually is We Greater Than Me, Going Further Together. Okay, so you have the right title. Sometimes we get old titles blended into some of our worksheets here. And even though the road gets rocky sometimes, but it can all fit together, knowing that going further together, it's easier on some of the journeys that we're on. So I appreciated that little parable that Craig and I shared with you. It's something that was passed on to me by Lori Barnes, something she picked up, and I thought it was quite pertinent to the way sometimes our own inner dialogue goes for ourselves. And so this month we are talking about going further together. And that idea of we is greater than me, that when we join together with another, we can go much further. Wayne Dyer supports this when he says, when you meet anyone, treat that event as a holy encounter. And I really find those precious words from Wayne Dyer as he reminds us that we all are important to one another. And some of the information today, because we align our talks with the CSL organization, comes from Reverend Sunshine. And she reminds us of this term that they use in the Zulu life philosophy. It's Ubuntu. It means I am because we are. And this idea that we are because we're in a community together, and we together build this consciousness, this beautiful consciousness together, that we're each a part of something greater. And as we invest ourselves into that knowing, we uplift ourselves into support one another through all of the good times and the challenging times. Now, we've been sharing this message, how important it is for each and every one of us to live in alignment with our own highest values, to the spiritual principles that resonate and that have the sound of deep truth, because those are what connects us to one another. And probably one of the greatest overall spiritual scriptures that holds us together is do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And you realize that that idea of loving one another with such grace, with such importance, is really the outreach of our hands to one another when we find that discontent or disconnect. So we're soul searching always for this idea of oneness and unity. And when we can find that, we raise our consciousness. So just like the dialogue of that little parable, as we give voice to some of our concerns and our confusion, there is this divine intuitive knowing that will lead us back to paying attention to nature, to beauty, to one another. And so Reverend Sunshine, she adds this, and I think it's very important, so I use her words. In understanding all of this, It calls for active compassion. And Charlie and I right now are watching the World Parliament, the Parliament of World Religions. I get that backwards sometimes. And so you got these wonderful, powerful spiritual leaders from all around the world, and it's a virtual, so they're zooming them in from the like a drone thing that gets dropped into the camera, and they're all speaking their truth. But what's coming out a lot? Coming out a lot is compassion. Compassion. Now more than ever, this idea of compassion. So she refers to it. Active compassion is the practice of joining personal responsibility with social conscience for the good of all. How do we do that? Forgiveness is a way to practice compassion. Forgiveness. Releasing hurt and judgment allows us to see the universal spirit of everyone. Learning about and fully embracing people from many cultures and walks of life helps us to be better spiritually and globally in community. Engaging our spiritual practices of listening with ears of compassion, and being open, forgiving, surrendering, having faith and trust, all lend themselves to going further together in community. So we talk about this each and every week, this idea of deep spiritual practice. As we develop that quality inside of ourselves, we take the edges off and we start to be able to have a greater open communication with one another, a sincerity, an honesty, integrity, all of these things that are so vitally important to be in a world that works for all. So this African proverb, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. And from the Unitarian Universalist, Mark Reed, he says, the religious community is essential for alone. Think about this. For alone, our vision is too narrow to see all that must be seen. But together, our vision widens and strength is renewed. Now, I really appreciate this idea of community and the strength that it can give. Because like I was talking to a friend this morning, Catherine came up to me, and sometimes I feel like, because I've done ministry for a long time, there's a lot of moments I feel done. I feel like, what else can I say? Well, they've heard it all, and what else can I be? What else can I do? And then Charlie reminds me it's a community. And then I start watching people browsing the book sale. I see Pam showing up for the bookstore. I see Christy, I see Lindy, I see everybody saying, how can I serve? I am here. I just love our board. How can I serve? How can I be? How can we make things better? I'm not alone. I'm not doing this by myself. I've got this team of beloved community, and we stand together, not on each other's shoulders, but arm to arm, and we find our way through some of the most difficult times. And this dang COVID has been difficult. I'm sick of it. I'm back to that Debbie Downer thing, but I'm so tired of it. It's just there, and it's a living entity, and I have to become one with my understanding of it in my world. So we're going through our life, and we're naturally growing and developing. So individually, that's just happening. But collectively, it's indeed happening as a community builds. So again, back to engaging in your practices and knowing that they are evolving you and expanding your consciousness. So if we just focus, though, on our own personal development, it's a lonely journey. But when we bring our understandings together and engage with a different focus, collaborating our understanding and sharing our goals, we recognize that we're bringing something to a group, a oneness, a unified field, a greater idea of our consciousness, so that no one else is compromised, because we're bridging things together, working together, bringing love, bringing and sharing accountability and participation. So then we go further together. and we grow together. And that's the exciting part. And Ernest Holmes supports this in the philosophy. One of the first things to do, one of the very first, is to love everybody. Not just the people that enter these doors because we feel like we're like-minded, but even the annoying ones, okay? Even those. We have to open our hearts instead of clamping it down. And Ernest Holmes goes on to say, if you have not done this, he gives us a little talking to, begin to do it at once. Well, all right then, so be it. And then he also adds, if we do not merge with others in cooperation, in unity, and in happiness, we may be certain there is something in us that still feels it has been rebuffed. All about me. So, again, another idea for you to allow your week to unfold, to see, am I allowing this to be all about me, or am I including this greater idea of all of the people, to allow this love to flow and be responsible to see the divinity in all beings. Now, several years ago, we engaged, the centers were quite engaged in the Season for Nonviolence, and that was recognizing the period. It's from January to April, and it would really look at the principles of nonviolence as presented to us from Martin Luther King and Mahatma Gandhi. And then Cesar Chavez also became part of that collective consciousness, that movement to bring our awareness to this idea of practicing nonviolence. And we had a lot of events to try to look at diversity and look at the unity that dwells within the diversity. There was a profound prayer that came from India at this time. It came from one of the oldest scriptures. But there was a particular artist, Anne Hampton Calloway, that heard these verses of music after she was in a meditation in the Siddha organization. So she heard this verse, and she's the one that wanted to put it to music. And so this was right around 9/11, and her heart was so broken. And I'll read you the scripture in a moment, because this whole message is one of hope, respect, and unity for mankind. And I melted every time we played the video of this, because the video also showed, that's how long ago, it was a video on a big thing, so I can't even show it to you. But the little girl that sang in that was this precious little 5-year-old, and she had lost her daddy in one of the flights that hit the Pentagon. So she's so proud. She had these big earphones on, and they're recording it. They had a wonderful children's choir as the undercurrent. But this is the verse. Let us be united. Let us speak in harmony. Let our minds apprehend alike. Common be our prayer. Common be our resolution. Alike be our feelings. Unified be our hearts. And perfect be our unity, from the Rig Veda. Now, I love those words, but you know what? They caused issue with people. They caused issue. I was presented with the fact that we were trying to whitewash people with a certain belief to make us all think alike, to take away our individuality. And I said, wow, you heard that in that. Because I see so much more. But I appreciated the feedback in it, because I realized how we hear Scripture, how we hear these things. What's so beautiful to me might be antagonistic to you. Is that my intention? No. My intention, it's like go back to the pure intention of anybody when they're presenting heart to heart with each one of us. It's this message is in my heart, and these are the words that I see bring unity. And so we have conversation, and then we bridge a greater understanding. Now, Tom Shriver, he wrote a book called The Call to Unite. He says this: in this world that we're creating together, nobody has to fit in because everyone already belongs. That's pretty profound. Unity is not the opposite of diversity. Unity requires diversity. Unity is the truth of sacred scriptures. It is the truth of the oral indigenous peoples. It is the truth written in our hearts that we can test it out in our lives when we feel separate, when we suffer. Test it out. That's why we find happiness in belonging. We are one. No one can be left out. We were made to be together. I find that a rich follow-up to how the Rig Veda scripture would touch someone differently. So we're all in this together. That's the good news. It's another aspect of coming together in wholeness. So this is one of the divine principles. There is a wholeness to our nature. And discovering our connection to humanity and allowing our guidance to be one that is nurturing this oneness. When we come together as one, we are stronger. So Shasta Strong in our community has been a wonderful platform for bringing us back together in the hard, challenging times. We remember that from the loss of lives and the fire and all of that. Shasta Strong came together as open arms to embrace this community and give us hope and faith and strength in rebuilding and to honor all of those first responders that risked their lives. Now, there's a similar strong organizations in many of the communities across America. And this one was named Crystal DeSantis, and she's reminding us, people can forget this and end up in the mindset that when one wins, someone else is losing. That's not true. That to give to one is to take from another. Not true. This polarization mindset, she says, leads to feelings of insecurity, loneliness, isolation, and we start to not trust one another. And when this is the reality, people can start to act in ways that are detrimental to the goal of coming together as peaceful living in one society, because they're starting to come into it from the survival of the fittest, which we're starting to see a little bit across the country, well, quite a lot across the country. And these people will act in ways that will damage others in order to benefit themselves as a community, as a couple, and a family. But when we put aside petty differences and see each other as a part of the same community, that's when we're at our best. That's when we thrive. That's when the community comes together. So in times of uncertainty, in times of fear, when that anxiety response is ignited inside of any one of us, we tend to immediately think of ourselves, but when we take the time to acknowledge where we're going here, we use that and remember that we're stronger together and we're going to reach out to someone, because we have a choice to respond. How? With either fear or love. And the fear response closes us off. You can feel it the moment I say it. You can feel the contraction of the heart space, and it polarizes you from others. You're suddenly pointing the fingers and saying, I am not them. And then it becomes a competition. But when you open to love, when love is the response, and you allow yourself to open up to at least the possibility of working towards a common goal, we remember, I am stronger together. I am stronger together. She adds this: sometimes asking ourselves the question is the key to realizing if the goal is stronger together, then maybe the approach that we have been using has been sending the wrong message. So perhaps we need to sit back and reframe our mindset to see ourselves and our partners and saying, when you and I are struggling, it is affecting both of us. So let's work together. Let's work together to make it better, rather than feeling isolated with your agenda and my agenda as obstacles to one another, as roadblocks. And this reframing that you're not the problem or I'm not the problem, but we have a problem, can change the way you approach it with one another. And in the same way, it shifts that from me to we. And that makes for a better, more positive society. You can feel that. And it affects your home, your relationships. It affects your state of being each and every day that you wake up. Now, Jack Kornfield adds to this, more than any other, perhaps even more than food and shelter, we human beings, born of other human beings, nurtured by and connected to them, need to touch one another. So I pause there because I'm sometimes wondering, has some of this escalated because of social 6 feet distancing? Don't touch me. Don't touch me. When you want to reach out and hug someone, proceed to the root. So back to, it's letting me know I should stay on track. Jack Kornfield. We need to stay in contact and acknowledge our interdependence and love in order to live in a sacred way. So, as important as it is to recognize our individuality and our uniqueness, I'm not dampening that, but that all requires introspection, solitude, self-inquiry. But then as we move towards wholeness, it requires that we interact in our relationships, that we become intimate with others and open ourselves up in community, because we need each other. We really need each other. This divine idea of wholeness, its inclusiveness, is where we find our wholeness again. So as we appreciate this, Deepak says, we have a very intimate relationship with each other. Feel that with those in this room. We have a very intimate relationship with the rest of nature as we enjoy its beauty. We have a very intimate relationship with the universe. And the more we tune into that intimacy, into that intimate relationship, the more likely it is for us to have that memory of our wholeness, that I am a part of you and you are a part of me. And once we have that memory of wholeness, it's a lot more than just a physical healing that's taking place. It brings about the spiritual knowledge of our essential nature, who we really are. In order to find out who we really are, we must reach out and bond to what is, to this universe. Now that's big news, that we're not separate from anything. We know that we're very interdependent, and if you just dwell on this thought, thinking about just the habits of your life, you might forget the interdependence with which we thrive. But we are relying on for an example, on commerce alone. If you think about it, if you just wanted a piece of toast in the morning, where'd it come from? I know you're going to say, well, I went shopping and I went out of my way to get this really good brand of bread. But think about the farmer that planted the wheat, the harvest of the wheat, the truckers, again, that brought the wheat to the stores, the store clerks, the cashier, all of the things that you realize. And then you add butter or jam, and then you want a cup of coffee. Well, now you're all around the world, bringing in this sense of a part of someone else's livelihood and hard work so you can enjoy a piece of toast with lots of butter and jam. So this idea, let's just look at how a simple meal can take us all around the world. We're tied deeply to each other. And we live in an ecosystem, don't we, that relies on our thoughtfulness, our attention. It's calling upon us to stay in balance, beloved ones. The theory of the butterfly effect. We've heard that many times. Just a flap of a butterfly wing can change the weather patterns from across the world. And you can go, I don't, really? But they've done the scientific work to determine that. They've put these stations just a few feet apart all around the world. These scientists are watching, and they can predict the weather patterns. And so they can see, as close to they can predict what's going to happen, but then you got the butterfly flipping its little wing. And then everything changes. And there's a storm suddenly. That's the chaos theory that we're talking about as well. So we're looking at all of the different forces in the universe, and we're all a part of that every time. So if there's a butterfly wing doing this, think about what it does when your heart, the things we can't see, when your heart constricts to the truth, when your heart says, you need to open up here, girl, and you're the one holding back. It's making an effect on the global consciousness. And just briefly, Deepak talks about this as well. Remember the stories when he first came out telling us that we disperse 100 billion trillion atoms every time we breathe out that were once part of our organs. Ugh. No wonder we're wearing masks. I'm breathing in your organ stuff. You know, we can think about in that terms, but this idea, all of this breathing is in our atmosphere. And so he concluded that in 3 weeks' time, 1,000 trillion atoms have passed through your body and have been a part of another human being, another plant life, another animal on this planet. Our body is a vast number of these atoms. So we're all a part of one another in that way. They even go as far to say that we are breathing the same breath that Jesus had the breath of when in his time, because energy does not go anywhere. It just keeps rebuilding, recycling. So back to that idea, every time we meet one another, it's a holy encounter. We are breathing each other. We are breathing each other, and there is that oneness. Now, Gary Zokoff says, when you release the wants of your personality to accommodate and encourage another's growth, you attune yourself to their soul. What a beautiful way to close this talk together. Because Joseph Campbell, in his work, has brought to us the awareness that this is a hero's journey. And the hero is that archetype that goes through his life. We've all gone through our struggles. We've all gone to the place where we just need to pull back. I need to be alone here. And then we get initiated into an awakening, an understanding. What do we do with that? We go back and join community again. It's the hero's journey. And Joseph Campbell, if you haven't read his work, really blesses us with the tales of that. So I'm going to close with something from Pema Chodron, and in a few moments I'll signal for Judy to play the music as we go into a meditative prayer together. But I can't say this any better than Pema Chodron. Spiritual awakening is frequently described as the journey to the top of the mountain. We leave our attachments and our worldliness behind. We make our way to the top. At the peak, we have transcended all pain. The only problem with this metaphor, we leave all others behind. Our drunken brother, our schizophrenic sister, our tormented animals and friends, their suffering continues, unrelieved by our personal escape. In the process of discovering the bodhicitta, the heart of compassion, the journey goes down, not up. It's as if the mountain pointed towards the center of the earth instead of reaching to the sky. Instead of transcending the suffering of all creatures, we move towards the turbulence and the doubt. We move towards it. We jump in. We slide into it. We tiptoe towards it. We move towards it however we can. We explore reality and the unpredictability of insecurity and pain, and we try not to push it away. And if it takes years, lifetimes, let it be. Let it be as it is. At our own pace, without speed and aggression, we move down, down, and down the mountain. With us move millions of others. Our companions are all awakening from fear. At the bottom, we discover water, the healing water of bodhicitta. Right down there in the thick of things, we discover the love that will not die. So Ernest Holmes, he pulls us back Every heart resounds to the warmth of love. Every mind yearns for its embrace. No life is complete without it. Love really is the fulfillment of the law of good. Love alone can heal and cause people to live together in unity, in peace. So allow your inner work to benefit all of humanity. So as Judy starts to play, there's a prayer from Gandhi, a beautiful prayer from Gandhi that his testimony to this truth. So Judy, I want to find God. And because I want to find God, I have to find God along with other people. I don't believe I can find God alone. If I did, I'd be running to the Himalayas to find God in some cave there. But since I believe that nobody can find God alone, I have to work with people. I have to take them with me. Alone, I cannot come to God. That personal knowing. And we return to the Navajo Prayer. Calling, close your eyes and feel the words now no longer coming at you, no longer stirring or watching your heart accept or reject what's being said, but just the sense of, I am in this now. Who am I in this now? As I call into the oneness and I long for the wholeness to bridge me to that divine knowing that it's all love. Calling our hearts to remember the beauty in life, the beauty in one another. This divine principle of beauty, the beauty that you live with, the beauty that you live by, the beauty upon which you base your life. We have before us the opportunity to embrace this beauty. Allow these words of the ancient times to stir into your heart this week, to awaken in you a greater idea of the possibilities of bringing healing and understanding to one another. So as we have the holy encounters, as we meet each other along the way, and perhaps we still maintain that social distance, but our heart wraps around each other. We are one. We are one. And in this oneness, I share a piece of my heart with you, and I receive your heart in me. It's what we do together, and together we thrive. In gratitude, I release this prayer. I release all the words, all the stories, all the ways that we're constantly being reminded. Step it up, and be a part of humanity, and be in service to that greater good. So thank you, God, for the hard nudges, for the gentle pushes, for always the reminder that we are one. We are one. So be it, because it already is so, and so it is. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Judy.
That was beautiful. Another one of your works? Oh, how we are so blessed, aren't we? We are so blessed. And Sue has my notes. Yes. Oh, wing it, right? Wing it, yeah. Oh boy, getting old, I'll tell you. All right, I'd like to invite the ushers up for our offertory. And if you would join with me, gratefully I give with an attitude of abundance. For I know as I give, I do receive. All right, and Judy is going to play I Am So Blessed. Join in that. I can't believe how scratchy my throat is. I haven't sung for a while. How about you? Wow. All right, together we bless this offering from our heart, from the wonderful message of Reverend Sue about our oneness, how we join together on a day like this, a holy day, to bring our offerings, to bring our presence, to bring our energy to this service, which touches others far and wide through the internet. So each offering given today through the mail, through credit cards, through passing them through the door to Lori is so appreciated. It enriches not only the center, but it enriches our whole community. So for that reason, I give great thanks, and so it is. All right, we'd like to close our service with a practitioner affirmation. And remember, Charlie and Shirley and I will be over by the bell if you would like a prayer. Please repeat after me. There is only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. And that life is my life now. Really, there's only one life. That life is truly God's life. That life is perfect. And that life is my life and your life now. Amen. So it is. That's beautiful. All right, we have a closing song. No, Morgan, another one of your creations? Oh my God, are we lucky? This one is called Spirit Within, improvisation number 3. Thank you so much.